Hi, welcome back to Bookish Brits. It's Wednesday and I am Caroline. So today's video was a bit tricky for me. I wasn't really sure what I should talk about. The main reason for this is that I'm having a bit of a vlogging slump at the moment. It's pretty much been a month since I got back from New York, and with the exception of the video that I posted 2 weeks ago, which was pretty much just my photographs, I have done nothing. Partly I came back from the trip, I don't know, I expected to be really kind of energised and enthused, and I have to say I was just a little bit disappointed. It was sort of slightly anticlimactic. I'm not going to go into again the reasons for my disappointment regarding the bloggers conference. BEA itself was as crazy and manic as everyone said it was, and that itself was an experience and probably one that I am not gonna repeat. So I'm glad I did it, and I had a fantastic time in New York with the girls. But I think for me it was a lot of money and a lot of hassle, and I don't know, I kind of like our UK events over here. So apart from that, I pretty much have read nothing. I know, I'm in shock myself. It's been a month and I have read nothing. I mean, to the extent that I started this book on the plane because it was one of the arcs that I was most excited about reading. And my bookmark was my menu from the plane, and I have not touched it since I got back. Now, this isn't all down to just general kind of lethargy at blogging. At first I was blaming on jet lag, and then I got a cold which I picked up on the plane, and that knocked me for six for about a week. But really I have to admit defeat, and I think the main reason that I have achieved nothing since I returned is this. So yeah, pretty much knackered and feeling rubbish most of the time. So I'm hoping that's going to improve soon and that I will be able to get back into the swing of things. But at the moment I'm in bed by 7 o'clock, and when I do have the opportunity to pick up a book, I just got this motion sickness, What it does mean is that I am so behind on my reading, and I realised I came back from New York with all these plans. I was going to do a book haul, I was going to talk about the arcs I was most excited about, the books that I picked up, and I've just done nothing. So today I'm going to try and combine it all. I'm sure you're probably completely bored of hearing about BEA and book swag, but yeah. So yeah, I came back from BA with my hand luggage pretty much was a suitcase of books, and then my suitcase was half filled with books. Although not as many arcs as you would imagine. I probably bought about a third of the books I brought home, and then 2/3 were arcs from BEA. So I just want to share with you the 5 arcs that I am most excited about, the ones that I kind of managed to get at BEA, and am most interested to read, although there are lots more that I'm hoping to get through and review over the next few months. Fingers crossed. I don't know. Right. So, one of the books that I was super excited about that was on my list, and the authors that I absolutely had to meet, was Maggie Stiefvater. I love Maggie. I've been fortunate enough to meet her a couple of times before, and I actually managed to meet her at a Books of Wonder event. So I did intend to meet her at BookCon, but I managed to meet her the night before Books of Wonder, which meant that I didn't have to queue up for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours to meet her, and I actually got to hear her talk. And she very kindly signed my copy of Sinner, an art which I'd managed to pick up that day. So woo! And as I've said earlier, this is the book that I started on the plane. Now, I'm absolutely loving this book. The only reason I haven't read any more is just because I haven't been physically able to read anything. So, I know, it's so tragic. It's one of my most anticipated arcs. I have not finished it, but I have not finished it and the book's actually been released. It was released yesterday. No. On the 1st. So not only have I not managed to read my arc prior to publication, I've also not managed to read it before the beautiful hardback that I pre-ordered arrived. So now I have 2 beautiful copies. One signed Loveliness and one beautiful hardback. So my first mission is to finish this book. What I have read of it, I've really enjoyed so far. It's quite different. It's definitely Maggie, but it kind of feels very contemporary. But then, you know, I'm only like a quarter of the way through, so who knows what she's got in store for us. Possibly tears. Possibly the tears. Anyway, so that was one of the books that I had on my wish list. The second book that I had on my wish list, I absolutely had to get hold of, had to meet the author, and that was Air of Fire by J Maas. I absolutely love Sarah. She is just gorgeous. She's a lovely person. She's so personable and chatty and just so down to earth and lovely, and I'm so excited to have a copy of this book in my hands. And this is the second arc that I plan to read, although the book itself is not out until September, so hopefully, hormones willing, I am going to read and finish this before it comes out. I don't generally review sequels just because I find it really tricky to talk about them without spoiling the previous books. But yeah, you know, I'm trying to give you my overall feelings. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, I have to read it because it's amazing. And you know, it's also signed. Beautiful. I'll find it eventually. In here somewhere. I hope it's signed. God, I queued up for 2 hours to meet her. Yes. It's there. Beautiful. So, that will go on my shelf with my other two beautiful J Maas arcs. The third arc that I was really excited to get hold of and also queued for quite some time to get my hands on, and that was The Iron Trial by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare. Anybody that reads my blog or has watched a few of these videos will know that I'm a big fan of Cassandra Clare's previous series, particularly the Infernal Devices, and The Mortal Instruments is also a pretty good favourite. This is a new series. I think there's going to be like 7 or 8 books. It's middle grade, and a collaboration between Cassandra Clare and Holly Black. I went to a panel with Holly Black, Cassandra Clare and Maggie Stiefvater on the final day of BO, which was BookCon, and it was really interesting to hear them talk, and I was really interested in the way that they collaborate, and they actually sat together in a room passing their laptop between each other. I haven't actually read any Holly Black before, so I'd be quite interested just to see how it's different with you know, compared to just kind of pure Cassandra Clare books that I've read with Holly, and wonder if I'll be able to kind of pick up any differences. So excited about this. So I mean, that's the actual cover there. And this is another book that's also out in September. So, you know, fingers crossed. Well, the next 2 books that I'm really excited about, the next one is This Shattered World, which I actually wasn't expecting to be at BEA, but I am so glad it is. I absolutely loved the first book in this series, These Broken Stars, and I did a video review of it before, and you can flick back through my videos, you'll be able to see it. This is a book that's set in the same universe, but as I understand it, does not involve the same characters, but I'm curious to see whether our kind of beloved characters kind of appear as secondary characters. I don't know, but it's exciting. Now this one, it's not out until December. I've got a feeling actually in the UK the publication date isn't until January, so thankfully I've got plenty of time to get my teeth into this one, although I want to read it now. Although, you know, the only problem with getting arcs early is it's all very well when you get to that book and you get to read it, but then you've got an even longer wait for the next book in the series. Thankfully this next book is a standalone, and it's one that I actually didn't really know anything about prior to going to BA, but once we got there was so much buzz among the American bloggers, and then I managed to meet the author at an event which was a teen author carnival, and that is Let's Get Lost by Adi Alsaid. And I'm so excited to start this book. It's just, for me, seems like the perfect summer read. It's contemporary, it's a road trip book, and not only that, it has a really interesting premise. Adi was explaining that each section of the book is a different point on the main character's journey, but actually each segment is told not from the perspective of the main character, but from the perspective of an alternate character. So I think that's really interesting. I like the idea that we all have these lives and we kind of come together and our lives might crisscross at certain points, and how different people can have a different impact on you and how different people have different perceptions of you. And yeah, so it's really interesting. So that is my TBR summer reading pile of the ARCs. I mean, I say there are plenty more where they came from, but those are the ones that I was most excited to receive, and those that I am hoping to put near the top of the TBR pile. If you're not completely bored of listening to me, I have 5 more books that I want to share with you, and these are 5 of the books that I bought while I was in the US, 5 books that I just couldn't resist for various reasons. So the first book that I just had to buy was City of Heavenly Fire by Cassandra Clare. Now, massive. I have to confess, I actually haven't read book 5 yet, and it's still sat on my shelf from when I pre-ordered it last year. But I intend to get to it very soon. I think part of the reason is because I have read enough Cassandra Clare now to know how she leaves things, and I quite like the idea of being able to read one book and then immediately follow it with the final. So this is book 6, the final book in the Mortal Instruments series, or so we believe. I was going to buy this anyway. In fact, I had it on pre-order in the UK, but the reason I picked it up while I was in the US at the lovely Books of Wonder is that this is a signed copy, which means it can sit on my shelf with my other signed personalised copies. So I just couldn't resist picking up this in the US. Beautiful. Better Off Friends by Elizabeth Earlberg. I actually hadn't heard of Elizabeth prior to going to the Teen Author Carnival event, but she was there, she's on the panel, and I just couldn't resist. Basically, this book is being promoted as a kind of When Harry Met Sally for teens, so it's like, yep, gotta read that. Also, Elizabeth herself was really funny and self-deprecating, and just a lovely, lovely lady, so I couldn't resist picking up her book while I was there. So, and also, I got it signed, yeah. The Teen Author event was pretty much a bit of a boon for me, so I managed to meet Addie Alced and Elizabeth, but I also managed to meet Gail Foreman, who I've absolutely adored ever since I read If I Stay. And in fact, Where She Went was the very first book that I reviewed for Big Book, Little Book, so it's got a good place in my heart. Now, I haven't actually read Just One Day yet. Pretty much because I was waiting for this one to be published, and then I just never got around to it. But anyway, I bought this in the US at Teen Author Carnival, and I met Gail Foreman, and she signed it for me. So that is super exciting. Super exciting. And also, Gail Foreman, she's quite racy. So I'm quite interested to see where she goes with her Just One Night novella. So, yeah. Interesting lady. The final 2 books I picked up while I was at Books of Wonder, just having a good old browse on their bookcases. And the reason I picked up this one, Dorothy Must Die, is that I've had some really good things about it from UK and US bloggers, particularly from Luna, who has raved and raved and raved about this book. It's a retelling, which, you know, I love. I love the Wizard of Oz story anyway, although I have to admit I haven't actually read the original. But I do love the movie. And I love Wicked stage show, although I didn't really like the book, but you know. So, you know, fingers crossed. I love the premise of this, and it was another book that was already signed at Books of Wonder, so yay. And the 5th book that I'm excited to read is Ask Again Later. A girl that is basically invited to prom by a gay classmate and also her brother's best friend. And the book splits down the middle initially, and it follows the story if she went to the prom with her best friend, if she went to prom with her gay classmate, and then eventually the story apparently comes together for a conclusion. I just like the idea of this one. It seems like kind of a nice, light, summary read, and I basically picked this one up because Gabby said, read it! She actually said that about 20 or 30 books, but you know, there's only so much luggage allowance. So this is the one I chose from the pile of the books that she said I had to read. So those are the 10 books that I'm hoping to get stuck into over the summer, and I shall let you know how I get on with them. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like or comment. If you didn't like it, comment. Seriously, I can take the criticism. And don't forget to subscribe to Bookish Brits if you haven't already. See you in 2 weeks. Bye!